What makes a player indispensable? Raw talent? Commitment on every play? Or the rare ability to reflect the identity of an entire franchise on the ice? In Toronto, a city that breathes hockey and carries decades of accumulated expectations, the answer translates into one name: Matthew Knies. As the Leafs once again face an offseason full of crucial decisions, one thing is clear. The franchise's future runs directly through Knies' skates. He's not just another promising young player in a sea of prospects. He's a pillar, a symbol of a new generation, and perhaps the most important link between disappointment and redemption. When we look at the great names in Maple Leafs history, we see stars who shone brightly, but often in short cycles. The challenge in Toronto has always been to sustain a core, to allow talent to mature without the pressure from fans and media crushing the possibilities. Knies emerges as a breath of hope within that context. In only a second full season, he's already posting numbers that place him among the most productive young players in the league. 58 points, with 29 goals and 29 assists. But Knies is not just a clinical finisher. He's physical, present, intense. His 181 hits show that he's willing to do the dirty work, battle along the boards, impose himself in every shift. In a sport where skill and grit often exist at opposite poles, Knies is the exception. He plays beautifully, and he plays hard. And in the modern NHL, that's worth gold. If you're a Leafs fan or closely follow NHL backstage moves, this is the moment to pay more attention. Despite still playing at a high level, like the video, represents a short-term subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We're entering the most decisive phase of the offseason, and all begins with a decision on Knies. Behind the scenes at Scotiabank Arena, the movement has already started. Talks about a contract extension haven't been made public yet, but no one doubts it's among the front office's top priorities. After all, Knies doesn't just represent talent. He represents identity. He represents a new way of competing. A way Toronto needs to embrace if it wants to break the cycle of frustration that's haunted the franchise since 1967. With eyes set on the 2026 postseason, keeping Knies isn't just strategic. It's emotional. It's cultural. He has become a name that fans recognize as synonymous with effort, intensity, and potential. And for a team that has so often seen its stars shine in the regular season only to vanish in the playoffs, Knies represents the opposite, a player built for the decisive moment. And there's one point that can't be ignored: his development curve. If in just 2 years he's already delivering elite-level performances, what can we expect from Knies with more experience? More minutes under pressure, more leadership? He may not be the biggest name on the roster today, but he's already one of the most complete. And the NHL doesn't wait. Rival teams know this. Players like him don't stay available on the market for long. Internally, Knies' extension is seen as a chance to build a new competitive core capable of sustaining a high level for years to come. And more than that, to attract other talent. Because when a young player commits to a rising franchise, it sends a clear message to the entire league. Toronto is becoming a destination again. Not just for its passionate fan base or historic tradition, but for a solid sports project. Now think about the real impact of this extension. Imagine Knies signing for 8 years. Imagine him becoming the face of future campaigns, leading the Leafs in decisive matchups against historic rivals like Boston or Tampa. Picture a line formed by Knies, a fast, skilled center and a seasoned veteran, forming a lethal trio capable of dominating both ends of the ice. This isn't utopia. It's planning. It's what's on the table right now. But what if the Leafs take too long? What if the off-season focus gets spread across other priorities and Knies' extension is pushed to the background? What happens if another team notices and makes a tempting offer in the future? What happens if, through hesitation, Toronto loses a player who best embodies the spirit of resilience and courage the city values so deeply? The question I leave you with is direct. Should Knies be the face of the Leafs' new project? Is the franchise ready to go all in on him, as it once did with historic names in the past? Or are there still doubts about his role in the future? Comment below. We want to hear your opinion. While the Toronto Maple Leafs front office prioritizes the extension of Matthew Knies, establishing him as a central piece of the franchise's future, a whirlwind of uncertainty surrounds another major name, Mitch Marner. If Knies represents tomorrow, Marner is a symbol of an unstable present, marked by speculation, rejected offers, and a trade that, according to reliable sources, came dangerously close to materializing. And that trade could have changed the course of the NHL. Reports from Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet and James Myrtle of The Athletic reveal that Toronto was involved in advanced negotiations with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes on a 3-team deal that would have sent Marner to Las Vegas, Mikko Rantanen to Toronto, and an unspecified return to the Hurricanes. This was not an early-stage conversation or a far-fetched idea. The deal was described as nearly finalized, halted only by disagreements over the finer details between Vegas and Carolina. The exposure of these secret talks reveals a much more aggressive side of the Leafs front office than the public had imagined. While fans saw Toronto moving slowly regarding its contracts, the reality behind the scenes was that the team was willing to restructure its core. The potential departure of Marner suggested not only a tactical shift, but also an emotional fracture. A break with one of the most charismatic and recognizable players of the Matthews era. And his replacement was no ordinary name. Mikko Rantanen, a Stanley Cup champion, physically dominant presence, and known for his playoff composure, would have been the ideal partner for Austin Matthews on a first line with more impact, more strength, and less volatility. For many, it would have been a course correction playing at a high level that fails represents a short-term in the most critical postseason moments. Rantanen's fit alongside Matthews would have represented a paradigm shift, from fluid finesse to concrete power. For Vegas, acquiring Marner would have meant adding a dynamic offensive weapon to play alongside Jack Eichel. Marner, with his elite vision and ability to create plays out of thin air, fits the type of player the Golden Knights consistently pursue. Ready-made stars, versatile, and capable of transforming a forward line. The franchise has repeatedly shown its willingness to trade beloved names and adjust its structure in the name of continued success. Just remember the exits of Marc-Andre Fleury and how Max Pacioretty was dealt. William Karlsson, one of the most beloved faces among fans, would have likely been the key piece going the other way, with his $5.9 million contract opening up cap space. Even though he is an original Golden Knight and a vital part of the 2023 Stanley Cup victory, history shows that Vegas does not hesitate to sacrifice popularity in the name of efficiency. But the deal collapsed. According to sources, the Hurricanes were dissatisfied with the return they would receive. It is also unclear whether Marner, who reportedly already turned down a public offer from Carolina, would have been willing to sign an extension with them, something that may have cooled the front office's enthusiasm. Thus, what could have been the most significant trade of the season was shelved, but not forgotten. The revelation of this behind-the-scenes drama casts a new light on the Leafs' decisions. It becomes clear that the front office is torn between the desire to preserve its foundation and the urgent need to reinvent it. By prioritizing Knies, Toronto signals it is looking ahead to a new generation. And by attempting to trade Marner, it makes clear that even the old pillars are not untouchable. This episode also affects morale within the locker room. Marner knows he was put on the trade block. The trust between player and franchise suffers a silent yet profound blow. How do you sign an extension with a team that quietly tried to move you? The answer may lie in free agency. Marner is a pending unrestricted free agent, and the buzz suggests he will test the market, where he is expected to seek a salary north of $13 million annually. Vegas remains interested. The idea of Marner in Nevada has not been dismissed, especially if they can shed some heavy contracts. But the clock is ticking, and the Leafs, while deciding whether to give one final vote of confidence to number 16, are also flirting with more physical and decisive alternatives. Rantanen's name may no longer be on the table, but the type of player he represents certainly still is. Toronto stands at a crossroads. Knies and Marner are not just players. They are symbols of two distinct paths. One represents renewal, a bet on youth, strength, and versatility. The other, an effort to keep alive the original vision that built the current core, a vision that is yet to deliver the long-awaited championship. And as summer rolls on, one truth is becoming clear. A major decision is looming. And perhaps, in the end, Knies and Marner cannot coexist in the same future for the Maple Leafs.